Chicago at Cleveland, New Orleans and Pittsburgh have been dropped as potential host cities for the 2026 World Cup. The North American Bid Committee said Wednesday it also cut Indianapolis and San Antonio, along with Birmingham, Alabama and Jacksonville, Florida. The Canadian cities of Ottawa and Regina, Saskatchewan, also were eliminated. More USMNT prospects on show at U17 World Cup. 32 areas remain in contention, including 25 from the United States, 4 from Canada and 3 from Mexico. The bid committee said it expects its proposal, which will be sent to FIFA in March, to include up to 25 cities. At least 12 cities would ultimately be selected if the FIFA Congress picks the joint bid when it votes in June 2018. The 2026 World Cup will be the first with a 48-nation field. Morocco said it also intends to bid. The 32 remaining areas under consideration are United States, Atlanta, Baltimore, Charlotte, North Carolina, Cincinnati, Chicago, Dallas and Arlington, Texas, Denver, Detroit, East Rutherford, New Jersey, Foxborough, Massachusetts, Glendale, Arizona, Houston, Kansas City, Missouri, Landover, Maryland, Las Vegas, Los Angeles and Inglewood and Pasadena, California, Miami, Minneapolis, Nashville, Tennessee, Orlando, Florida, Philadelphia, Salt Lake City, Santa Clara, California, Seattle, Tampa, Florida, Canada, Edmonton, Alberta, Montreal, Toronto, Vancouver, British Columbia, Mexico, Guadalajara, Mexico City, Monterrey. When the season started, Portland Thorns captain Christine Sinclair said anything less than a championship would be a disappointment. That's because last season's exit in the National Women's Soccer League semi-finals, at home, was a regret that needled the Thorns over the winter and into this season. More previewing the USMNT crucial match against Panama. Losing in the semi-finals here was disappointing, Sinclair said. But it's things like that that motivate you. Last season, Portland went 12-35 and finished with the league's best record but fell 43 in the semi-finals to the Western New York Flash. The Flash went on to win the NWSL championship before moving to North Carolina as the Courage in the offseason. This year the Courage won the Supporters' Shield after finishing the regular season atop the standings at 1671. The Thorns 14-55 finished second in the 10-team league. The Thorns will host the third-place Orlando Pride 11-67 on Saturday in the first playoff semi-final, while the Courage host the Chicago Red Stars 11-76 on Sunday in Cary. The winners will go on to meet on October 14 at Orlando City Stadium for the final. "We're not letting what happened last year happen again," said Portland's Tobin Heath, who recently returned from injury to a loaded lineup that includes fellow U.S. national team regulars Ali Long, Megan Klingenberg and Lindsey Horan. The Thorns also opened the season against the Pride, with Sinclair scoring in a 20 victory. It was the first of a league record 10 wins at home for Portland. But the Pride would go on to get a boost from the return of Alex Morgan, who started the season playing in France, and the chemistry she developed with Brazilian star Marta, a 5-time FIFA World Player of the Year. There was a bit of trash-talking this week between Thorns coach Mark Parsons and Pride coach Tom Sermanni in advance of the semi-final. Sermanni fired first, saying he thought referees were intimidated by the big crowds at Portland's Providence Park and favored the Thorns. Parsons texted him back with a magnifying glass emoji and the words "I see you, Tommy boy." Portland, which won the inaugural league championship in 2013, has never lost to Orlando, going 301. The Pride was hurt when it was revealed this week that Brazilian midfielder Camila is out with an ACL tear in her right knee. The Courage won its first 4 games and stayed atop the table for almost the rest of the way, led by Lynn Williams, last season's league MVP, with 9 goals and 5 assists. No one has ever won the NWSL Shield and won the championship in the same season, North Carolina coach Paul Riley said. "We're 0-3 against Chicago, so we're the underdog, which is great. I don't mind the underdog tag." Chicago, paced by forward Kristen Press with 11 goals, stumbled in August with 3 losses at home but went undefeated for its final 4 games. U.S. teammate Julie Ertz had 4 goals and 3 assists playing a defensive midfield position. The NWSL is wrapping up its historic 5th season. No other professional women's soccer league in the United States has lasted as long. Sky Blues' Sam Kerr, also a standout on the Australian national team, won the Golden Boot award with an NWSL record 17 goals this season, including 2 hat-tricks. Marta had 13 goals and 6 assists for the Pride. This season was the first that the league has had a national broadcast deal. The Lifetime channel featured an NWSL game each Saturday as part of a deal struck with Air Networks, which bought a stake in league and became a sponsor. Lifetime will televise both semi-finals. CONMEBOL qualifying stole the headlines on Thursday evening, particularly Argentina wide eyes emoji, but the road to Russia continues on Friday around global qualification. More Germany, England reached WC 2018 with UEFA wins in the United States. The primary focus is that the US men's national team pulls out a victory when they play host to Panama, but a win for the Stars and Stripes won't be enough for Bruce Arena and co. to clinch a place in next summer's World Cup just yet. However, a win by Panama and a Honduras loss to Costa Rica would ensure a place for Los Canaleros in Russia. In Europe, 3 teams have already ensured their place in the competition through qualifying, which excludes hosts Russia being the 4th nation. Serbia and Spain can each top their respective groups if results go in each team's favor, while Croatia and Iceland would set up an intriguing final match day in Group 1 if both teams win on Friday. One match in Africa will take place on Friday, as the Ivory Coast meets Mali. However, a win for Les Elephants won't book their place in Russia until the result of Group C's other match between Morocco and Gabon happens on Saturday. Here's a list of the teams that have already qualified for next summer's tournament. Russia hosts Brazil, CONMEBOL Iran, AFC Japan, AFC Mexico, CONCACAF Belgium, UEFA South Korea, AFC Saudi Arabia, AFC Germany, UEFA England, UEFA follow at Madrid Football. There's been plenty of buzz surrounding the USMNT U17 heading into this month's World Cup in India, and now it's time for John Hackworth's side to back up the talk. Star attacker Josh Sargent will lead the US on Friday as the Baby Yanks take on the tournament hosts in Group A play, and the 17-year-old will look to play a big role for his country ahead of his much-anticipated move to Bundesliga side Werder Bremen in January. More the top talents to watch at this month's U17 World Cup. Meanwhile, Hackworth has plenty of other options throughout his talented squad, including a trio of Atlanta United Academy players. That includes Andrew Carlton, the speedy winger that has already represented the US at the U15, U17 and U18 levels over the last 2 years. In Group A, the US will be joined by African power Ghana and Colombia, while Group B features New Zealand, Turkey, Paraguay and Mali. All of the day's matches and the entire competition can be streamed through Telemundo Deportes. Watch every match from the U17 World Cup in India. Here's the full schedule on match day 1 as Groups A and B begin play. Group A: Colombia vs. Ghana, 7:30 a.m. ET. India vs. USMNT U17s, 10:30 a.m. ET. Group B: New Zealand vs. Turkey, 7:30 a.m. ET. Paraguay vs. Mali, 10:30 a.m. ET. Follow at Madrid Football. Costa Rica will have to wait an extra day to attempt to earn its place in next summer's World Cup. Tropical Storm Nate has caused Friday's CONCACAF World Cup qualifier between Los Ticos and Honduras to be moved back to Saturday as the dangerous weather passes through Central America. More previewing the USMNT's WCQ match against Panama. Costa Rica Soccer Federation chief Rodolfo Villalobos announced the decision to alter the match timing on Thursday night as a precautionary measure. The qualifying fixture will take place at 6 p.m. ET on Saturday at the Estadio Nacional de Costa Rica. Los Ticos need just 1 point out of their final 2 WCQ matches to join Mexico in Russia next summer as representatives from CONCACAF. Costa Rica currently sits second on points in the qualifying process, while Honduras is in 5th place. Follow at Madrid Football.